So hi guys, welcome to the second tutorial of our second series. Now in this lesson, we'll be creating the bowl and the glass here. On the last tutorial we worked on this tap and the pipe behind it. So to start off, let's just go and switch this layer off so that we can work on a new set of objects. So let's hide that and create a new layer that we're going to be working with. Call it bowl. Now you notice this layer is automatically hidden because that's the last setting we used before creating that new layer. So just make sure you untick that and then close. So go ahead to your create panel and then select the line tool. I'm going to be using the left viewport to start drawing this. Just click from the left side of this dark central line. Now the reason we can see that, let me show you that in the perspective viewport. The reason we can see it come out that way instead of a standard line is because on the last tutorial we enabled in renderer and we also enabled in the viewport. Well, more importantly on the viewport, not so much that. So just disable that and maybe disable that too. When we go back, now we should have a straight line without any problem. So just click. Now we've got our line. And then maybe click and drag a little bit around here to get a shape similar to that. And then just click in the middle. Right click and let go. And that's pretty much all we're going to do to create our bowl. It's that simple. Now you can do this for many other things, but I'll show you how it works first. And this time we're going to use the lathe tool or the lathe modifier. And that's what we have. As soon as you click that, you notice we've got this funny shape here. Obviously it doesn't look like a bowl, so I'm going to show you how to turn it into one. So whenever you apply these modifiers, normally you have to play around with a few parameters to get it right. So in this case, hit the little plus button next to the lathe modifier. As soon as you hit that, we've got the axis. Now select that and make sure it's highlighted in yellow. And then get your select and move tool. And from the left viewport or even the perspective viewport or wherever, just click and drag whichever direction until it makes sense, like that. I think that's pretty good. Let's have a look. Yeah, I think we've got our bowl. Just hit F4 so we can display the edges. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. And so there you go. That's how simple it is when using the lathe tool. So you just draw a line, use the lathe, and then it gives you these options. So normally this works when making symmetrical objects, maybe making a tube, a bottle, glass, things like that. You notice we've got a lot of straight edges. So to soften that, you can either increase the segments or simply go ahead and apply the mesh smooth. Now before we apply the mesh smooth modifier, we want to give it a little bit of thickness because right now it's too flat. It might not come out well when we render. So what you need to do is apply the shell modifier. Don't forget you can apply as many modifiers to one object as possible. So just start typing shell, that pops up, hit enter, and now you've got a thickness to your object. But obviously this is a little bit too thick. So what we want to do is reduce that by going to the parameters and reducing the inner amount and leaving the outer a little bit. So make sure you've got the inner to 0 and outer you can control it. Or if you want the other way around, just make sure you've got outer 0 and then play around with this. And so yeah, I think 0.15 seems alright. What we are now going to do, you can increase these segments. I'm going to show you what that does. So let's say we've got it that thick, and as you increase the segment, it's adding these segments here. So when you apply the mesh smooth, it's not just going to be curved up here. But let's reduce that and make that a little bit smaller. Take it down to about that size. Once you've got that and you're happy with it, go ahead and apply the mesh smooth modifier. As soon as you click that, you notice our bowl looks much smoother, looks much nicer. And so yeah, we've created the bowl. Now I'm going to show you how to make the glass, or the object shaped like a glass, if you will. So just bring that down to meet the black line down here. And you can always resize it to whatever you want, seeing as that doesn't affect anything. You can make it as big as you want, or you can make it as small as you want. So in this case, maybe I'll leave it or make it slightly smaller to what we had before. And yeah, that's what we have now. Or if you happen to mess any of these views up, you can get it back by just using that box there, and that will take you back to your original position. So we've got that done. Let's go ahead and go back to the Create tab, select the line again, go back to your left viewport or any other viewport you see fit. I like using the left quite a lot. So if you make a mistake whilst creating your shape, you just hit the backspace and that takes you right back. That takes you a step back. Sorry. Now just click and drag something like that. And maybe a little bit there. Zoom in to see closely. And then just drop it down. And then right click to let go and accept the changes. Let's go back to the lathe modifier. As soon as you apply that, now we've got a different shape, which looks totally weird. So what you want to do is go back to your modifier panel. With the lathe still selected, just click the small plus, go back to axis, get your select and move tool, and just move it until it's right. So in my case, I think I'm quite happy with that. Slightly big, but we can resize that later on. So remember, after you've done that, what I'd recommend you do, go to shell, and that allows you to give it a little bit of thickness. I think that should do fine. Hit F4 to see what you're doing. And if you happen to notice that there's a fault with the actual shape, don't forget you can always turn off these modifiers and edit what you have. If not, you can leave them on and just hit this. That will show everything whilst you are modifying anything under the actual modifiers. So in this case, I'm just going to turn them off. With the line still selected, click the little plus. So don't forget, any object you create, there's always the option to view more options about it when you click the little plus sign. If you click that, hides it. But I'm going to select vertex, and this allows me to now edit the point. So you can click on that point, for example, with your select and move tool selected. You just click and drag it up a little bit. And I didn't like the base, it was too big, so I'll resize that and bring this in a little bit more. And as soon as I do that, you notice we've made a change to our object. And so there you go. I think I'm just going to apply a mesh smooth to this. Now, remember, if you have a project with a lot of mesh smooth applied to your object, you might start experiencing some difficulties, especially when rotating or trying to view the whole model. So the best thing for you to do would be to go ahead and make sure the iterations are very low. But if you want them any higher, just tick this box and then enter, I think, a number between 1 to 3 or 4 maximum. Any higher might make your project render very slowly. as for this tutorial, I've showed you how to make the bowl and create that. So we've learned how to use the lathe modifier, the shell modifier. So don't forget, with the shell modifier, anything you do that's flat and 2D shaped, as soon as you apply the shell modifier, that gives it a body, and it allows you to pretty much consider it a 3D object in some respect. So I'm just going to resize that a little bit, maybe make it that small, a little bit smaller. Go ahead to your left or front viewport and just click and drag it down to that line, and there you have it. We've made our glass. Alright, thanks for tuning up to this tutorial. In the next lesson, we'll be creating the base. We'll probably be making a table actually, instead of just putting a big massive box under it. So I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.